Guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Holly. This is She Reads, and if you look behind me today, you will notice that my shelves look a lot different, and that is because all of these books stacked in front are getting ready to be evicted. That is right, I am doing a gigantic book unhaul with you today. So starting BookTube has really made me think about the books that I have on my shelf, and some of them I have had on there for like probably 15 years and I have never read them. Like, why? Why am I doing that to myself? Why am I carrying around all of these books? If I haven't read them in 10 or 15 years, I'm probably never going to be interested in reading them. And I just need to like tell myself that that is okay. It is okay to get rid of books that you do not think that you're going to be interested in anymore. It is okay to not like a genre that you thought maybe you would like. And it is okay to buy new books and get rid of old ones. Just let them go, make room on your shelves, and just embrace it. So that is what I'm going to be doing with you guys today. And I have separated all of the books into different categories of why I'm getting rid of them. So we're gonna start off with a genre that I thought, and that really I still do think that I probably should like, but that I just don't. And that is murder mysteries solved by police. Now, I don't mind murder mysteries, like Agatha Christie, love her. Like those kind of books I absolutely love. But when it comes to books like where it's about a cop solving the case, I just really do not like those. And I think the reason why is that a lot of times in those books, there's like a lot of like cop jargon, and I just don't like those types of characters. A lot of like, it's kind of cliche almost, but a lot of those characters are like, you know, like the alcoholic cop and he is trying to solve this mystery. Like it's just, I don't know. Sometimes I just find them to be really cliche, and it's just not something that I enjoy reading. And all of these books I picked up because I kind of thought to myself, like, well, like you should like it. Like it's going to be about a murder, or it's going to be about a serial killer or something. And horror being my favorite genre, I typically should like that sort of thing, but I just don't. I just don't like those type of books. So I have a big stack of them that I have read, some that I have read, some that I haven't. And I'm just saying goodbye because I just know that I'm not going to be interested in reading them anytime soon. So those books are as follows: The Dead House by Linda Fairstein, Aftermath by Peter Robinson, City of Bones by Michael Connelly. The next is actually a trilogy by Guillermo del Toro and Chuck Hogan. The first is called The Strain, the second is called The Fall, and the third is called The Night Eternal. The Girls He Adored by Jonathan Nassau, Crossbones by Kathy Reich, Body of Evidence by Patricia Cornwall, Head Games by Eileen Dreyer. And this last one is actually a book that I may end up taking off of this unhaul, and that is Teasing Secrets from the Dead by Emily Craig. And this one is actually based on a true story. So Emily Craig, the author, she is a doctor that examines bodies once they come in, and she tries to determine what happened to them and kind of solve the murder as best as she can. And this is basically her memoir on working in that field. So this one actually might be kind of interesting to me, and I am going to probably take another look at it and maybe read the first chapter to just make sure before I get rid of it that I actually don't want to read it. The next genre is quote unquote girly books. And these books are some of those ones that I've had on my TBR for like 15 years. And the reason being is that a lot of these books, like in my early 20s, late teens, you just kind of feel like, as a girl, I kind of felt like I should like these books. Like this should be something that I'm into. Like it's girly, it's romantic, it's comedy, it's, you know, like those kind of books. But that's just not me. And I just need to let go of these books because I need to be okay with the fact that it's not me. And I'm gonna use the space on my shelves to pick up more books that are me. The girly books that I'm going to be getting rid of are as follows. 2000 Kisses by Christina Sky. And this one is about a woman who in the year 2000, that's how old this is, During the whole computer glitch scare that everybody had in 1999 going into 2000, her bank accidentally deposits $1 million into her bank account. And it just follows her spending this money or thinking what she's gonna do with it. And of course she falls in love and blah, 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 blah. And I mean, it's a good idea. It's definitely interesting. It is kind of unique, but I would probably never ever pick this up again. The next book is 31 Dream Street by Lisa Jewell. Head Over Heels by Stephanie Mittman. And this, as you can tell by the cover, is just a classic rom-com book. He's Just Not That Into You by Greg Bernard and Liz Tuccillo. I apologize if I wrecked either of those names. But this one, I mean, I read this one. It served me well for many years, but I am not, thankfully, in a position any longer where I need to be worried about these sort of dating rules. And I am happily in a relationship that is very long-term, and we have a son together, and hopefully I will not be needing this book anytime soon. Confessions of a Shopaholic by Sophie Kinsella. And the last book on the list is Girlfriends by Patrick Sanchez. Now, the next list that I'm going to be going through are just books that I just do not think that I'm going to be interested in reading anytime soon. They're not from a particular genre, or there's not a particular reason why I don't want to read each one. They are just books that I have read the backs of and I just no longer think I'm going to be interested in. The first book is Eager to Please by Julie Parsons. Daughter of Fortune by Isabel Allen. Tonight, Youre Mine by Carlene Thompson. Innocence by Jane Mendelson. The Cloud Sketcher by Richard Rayner. Ford County Stories by John Grisham. The Black Dahlia by James Elroy, and this one I actually have a second copy of, and I have had both of these copies for like over a year, and I didn't realize that I had 2 copies of it. So that just shows you how much I actually needed to go through my bookshelves and clean them out, because how do you not even know that you have 2 copies of the same book? The next one is From a Buick 8 by Stephen King. And I know that as a horror film, I should not be getting rid of Stephen King books, but this one I just don't think that I'm going to be interested in. It just doesn't really have a synopsis that thrills me, and I would rather focus on other books, not necessarily just read one because it's by Stephen King. The next book is Rise of the Dark by Michael Koreeda. The Hiram Key by Christopher Knight and Robert Lomas. And this one I'm going to be getting rid of, mostly because this basically is well, not really a novel, this basically is a book that attempts to disprove Christianity. And I do have Christian beliefs, and I do kind of believe in that. So, and especially since I've had my son, I've been finding myself just being more faithful to my beliefs. And I mean, I am very open-minded, but I just, at this point in my life, am not willing to read a book that attempts to disprove something that I really find comforting and that I really like to believe in. I just don't feel the need for it. I mean, if believing in this makes me feel better, whether it's true or not, why not just let myself believe in it instead of reading something that's going to disprove it and then kind of, you know, just make me feel weird about the whole thing. So I'm not even going to bother picking this one up. I'm just going to donate it. The next book is actually one that I also might take off of this Unhaul. This is Secrets of Angels and Demons by Dan Burstein and Arnie DeKaiser. And this basically is about the Dan Brown novels from Robert Langston. It goes through Angels and Demons and the Da Vinci Code and talks about how this could be real in real life. So this one actually might be kind of interesting because I do have the entire series of the Dan Brown books, and I have read the first 2, the Da Vinci Code and Secrets of Angels and Demons, but I haven't read the other 2. So I have been thinking about picking those up and kind of just like reading the whole series, and this might be something kind of interesting to finish with, so I may end up taking this one off of the list. The next book is The Missing Place by Sophie Littlefield. The Telling of the Bees by Peggy Hesketh. Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil by John Berend. The Sweet Relief of Missing Children by Sarah Bronstein. Cry for the Strangers by John Saul. And the last book from that list is Stephen King's It. And the only reason that I'm going to be getting rid of this one, and I know that this is a bad reason to be getting rid of a book, is because I want to buy a prettier one. So I have not actually read this, but I do want to read it, especially since it has just become like this global phenomenon all over again. And I've seen the movie and I rewatched the for the original movie as well. I would like to read the book sometime, but this book is just like so old. I got it at an old library sale. It's completely taped together. The back page is missing, and it's just like, I don't know. I just kind of would like to pick up a prettier copy of it. So I know that's probably bad. I should just read the one that I have, but that's what I'm doing. So the last stack of books that I have to go through with you today are books that I have already read or that I did not finish. And these are just books that I don't think that I'm going to be picking up again. I may have liked them, I may have not, but they're just, for whatever reason, I will probably not reread them. The first book is The Universe versus Alex Woods by Gavin Extance. And this one is one that I did not finish. I got about halfway through and I found that it was just very, like, it talked a lot about space, and it was like to the point where it was almost like a learning education book. Like, I'm not really that interested in space, and I was just like finding myself reading all this information of stuff that I really don't care about. So I just found that it was a little bit too much research went into it. Maybe it didn't really contribute to the story as much as I think the author thought that it would. The next book is The Girls in the Garden by Lisa Jewell. And this one I did finish, and it just kind of left me with a feeling like it deals with, like, you know, like rape, and it just deals with some stuff that I'm not really, stuff that I really generally wouldn't typically read. And it just kind of left me feeling blah afterwards. So although it wasn't really a bad read, it's just not something that I would really pick up ever again, because I just don't like feeling blah after I read a novel. The next book is Who Killed Jackie Bates by Billy Weiser, and this one actually is another one that I might take off of this list, just simply because this is a local case to my area. I live in a pretty small town, and this happened like about half an hour away, and actually the trial for this case happened in my town. So it is local, so it might be something that I might keep just because of that, and it was a pretty good book. It was involving a case of a murder of a young boy and kind of the trial of his parents. So this one was pretty good. I typically wouldn't reread a book like this again, but I might just keep it for the fact, like I said, that it is something local. The next book is The Sleeping and the Dead by Jeff Crook, and this was the last cop murder mystery that I read where I decided that I'm just not into these types of books and I should just stop forcing myself to read them. This one was a little bit more, had another element to it where the cop that was investigating the murder actually could see the spirits of the victims themselves, and they kind of helped her solve the murders. But I just found that while this was a very interesting like take on it, it wasn't executed properly. Her seeing the ghosts just wasn't a big enough part of the story, I think, to even warrant being it. It just kind of only happened when it was convenient to move the story forward. The next book is The October List by Jeffrey Drever. Again, this is another cop murder mystery story, one that I would not pick up again. And the last book on this list is The Devil in the White City by Eric Larson. And this book is actually about H.H. Holmes, who was America's very first serial killer. And I just have a fascination with H.H. Holmes. I have read so much about him. I've watched so many documentaries about him, and I'm just kind of almost weirdly obsessed about this case and about him in general. So I picked this one up. This case took place during the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago while it was being built, and it played a huge part in H.H. Holmes' crimes. So what the author did was he did half the book about the construction of the World's Fair and half the book about H.H. Holmes. So it kind of went like from chapter to chapter, as they did coincide with each other in real life. But I just found that I wasn't as interested in like the building of the World's Fair as I was about H.H. Holmes' story, like on its own, I guess. So I ended up skipping over the parts with the World's Fair. I just found it was like very dry. It was very like factual, and it just wasn't really entertaining as the other parts. I just kind of wanted to know more about H.H. Holmes and like his crimes. I didn't necessarily need all the backstory of the building of the World's Fair. So that is it for my giant book Unhaul, you guys. That was 40 books that I'm going to be getting rid of off of my shelves to make room for new books to enter into my life and that I can happily read and talk about on my BookTube channel. So let me know in the comments down below if you have read any of these books, or if there's any of them that you think that I really should give a second look at, that you just absolutely loved and don't think that it deserves to be in this pile. And once again, I didn't say this at the start, but I will say it now. Please do not be offended if any of these books are your favorite book or your favorite author or anything like that. It has nothing against the author or the book. It's just something that I personally do not feel like I will be interested in. Everybody has different tastes, and that is all that is. Guys, once again, so very much for watching. I post videos on this channel every Monday and Thursday, sometimes Friday, depending on how my week goes. But yeah, leave me down a comment below letting me know what you think of all these books that I'm going to be unhauling. And until next time, I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!